Dear incredible and outstanding students, pleasure to meet you all again through this channel. I welcome you all back to the class of day 3. In day 1, we saw how Hilary and Tenzing made their preparation ready. In day 2, we saw their trekking expedition up to their reaching of the rock at 8,000 feet. Now, in the day 3, we are about to see whether Hilary reached the top of the Everest successfully. Shall we see it? Come on, let's go. For a few moments, I lay regaining my breath, and for the first time really felt the fierce determination that nothing now could stop us reaching the top. Though Hilary's progress towards the ridge was very slow, it was steady. That is why he was now on the wide ledge. He relaxed for a while. He lay for a few moments and took his breath. Lay is the past simple of lie. It means he put himself in a flat or horizontal position to take rest. For first time, he realized the fierce determination that no difficulties could stop them to reach the Everest. Fierce means strong. Determination means spirit or perseverance. Mana urudhi enapadum. I took a firm stance on the ledge and signaled to Tenzing to come on up. Stance means position. Hilary took a strong position on that ledge, that is, on that narrow flat piece of rock, and asked Tenzing to come on that place by giving signals. As I heaved hard on the rope, Tenzing wriggled his way up the crack and finally collapsed at the top like a giant fish when it has just been hauled from the sea after a terrible struggle. Heaved means gave out a deep breath. Wriggled means moved with a twist or turn. Collapsed means fell down, especially after doing something hard. Hauled means pulled. As Hilary gave out a deep breath on the rope, Tenzing wriggled, that is, wiggled to cross the crack, and somehow he collapsed, that is, fell down on the rock. Hilary's action was like a giant, that is, huge fish that had been pulled from the sea after a serious struggle. அதாவது கடும் போராட்டத்திற்கு பின் பிடிக்கப்பட்ட கடல் மீன்களை போன்று டென்சிங் சுருண்டு விழுந்தார். The ridge continued as before. Giant cornices on the right, steep rock sloped on the left. The ridge curved away to the right and we have no idea where the top was. The path was never ending. It continued as before. Cornices are the overhanging eyes on the top of a mountain. Many huge cornices were on the right side of the ledge where they stood. Sharp slopes were on the left side. Their mind was blank because they had no idea about the rock. From where did the path start and where did it end? Everything was new to them. The ridge curved away to the right side and both Hilary and Tenzing did not have any idea about where the top of the Everest was. As I cut around the back of one hump, another higher one would swing into view. Time was passing and the ridge seemed never ending. When Hilary made a path around a hump, that is, around a raised place, he could see another raised place coming to the view. The path seemed never ending, only the time seemed ending. Our original zest had now quite gone, and it was turning more into a grim struggle. I then realized that the ridge ahead, instead of rising, now dropped sharply away. Zest means enthusiasm. Synonym for this word is appetite, that is, a strong desire for something. Grim means serious. When Hilary saw the another raised place, his original appetite for reaching the Everest was slowly disappearing, and it was turning into a serious struggle. But when he looked deep into that rock, he realized that it stepped down sharply instead of rising up. அதாவது அவர்களை சுற்றி இருக்கும் பாறைகளானது மேலே உயர்வதற்கு பதிலாக கீழே இறங்குவதை ஹிலாரி உணர்ந்து கொண்டார். I looked upwards to see a narrow snow ridge running up to a snowy summit. A few more walks of the ice axe in the firm snow, and we stood on top. Then Hilary looked upwards. He saw the summit on the rock where he stood. Walk means an act of hitting something hard. Immediately, Hilary hit hard by using his ice axe in the strong snow and climbed that part too. Thus, he stood on the top of that mountain. My dear students, now you could get the answer for the question which was raised in your mind in the day 2. Can you remember that question? Yes, the question was whether Hilary reached the Everest or not. The answer is yes. Of course, Hilary reached the Everest successfully. அடைந்து விட்டார் சிகரத்தை. He climbed the Everest where no men had ever reached. He was the first human to achieve this. What a marvelous and extraordinary effort he had given. Amazing, you know. My first feelings were of relief. Relief that there were no more steps to cut, no more ridges to traverse, and no more humps to tantalize us with hopes of success. Could you imagine how Hilary's feelings were? His feelings were of relief because Hilary had no more steps to make, no more paths to cross, and moreover, no more disappointments. Tantalize means tease or taunt. ஏமாற்றுவது என்று பொருள். Whenever they had met several humps, they thought they had reached the Everest. But all those times they were tantalized. That is why Hilary said no more bumps to tantalize them with hopes of success. அதாவது ஒவ்வொரு பாறையையும் அவர்கள் அடைந்த பொழுது அது எவரெஸ்ட் சிகரம் இல்லை என்ற ஏமாற்றமே மிஞ்சியது. இனி அவ்வாறு அவர்களை ஏமாற்ற ஒன்றும் இல்லை. I looked at Tenzing. In spite of the balaclava helmet, goggles and oxygen mask, all encrusted with long icicles that concealed his face, there was no disguising his grin of delight as he looked all around him. Balaclava helmet is a type of hard hat that protects the head. Goggles is a pair of glasses to protect the eyes from the wind. Icicles means a pointed piece of ice. பனி தொங்கல்கள் எனப்படும். Conceal means to hide somebody or something. மறைத்தல் எனப்படும். Disguising means changing of appearance. பொய்யான தோற்றம் கொள்ளுதல் அல்லது மாறுவேடம் பூண்டுதல் என்று பொருள். Grin means to smile widely. When Hilary looked at Tenzing, Tenzing was unable to hide his wide smile despite having his helmet, glasses and oxygen mask all covered with icicles. அதாவது பனி தொங்கல்கள் டென்சிங்கின் முகத்தினை மறைத்திருந்தாலும் மகிழ்ச்சியை மறைத்திருக்கவில்லை. We shook hands and then Tenzing threw his arm around my shoulders and we thumped each other on the back until we were almost breathless. It was 11:30 a.m. The ridge had taken us 2.5 hours, but it seemed like a lifetime. Both of them shared their happiness by shaking hands and showing thumbs up until they were almost breathless. It was 11:30 a.m. Can you remember when they started? Exactly. It was 6:30 a.m. when they started. Now the time was 11:30 a.m. Nearly 2.5 hours the trekking had taken them. It was the lifetime achievement to them. For this moment only they struggled a lot and even bet their entire life. இந்த ஒரு தருணம் அவர்களின் வாழ்நாள் சாதனையாகவே அமைந்துவிட்டது. To the east was our giant neighbor Makalu, unexplored and unclimbed. Far away across the clouds, the great bulk of Kanchenjunga loomed on the horizon. To the west, we could see the great unexplored ranges of Nepal stretching off into the distance. Unexplored means unknown. Loomed means appeared. Horizon means a point where the sky seems to meet the land. தொடுவானம் என்று பொருள். There was a huge mountain named Makalu to their eastern side. It was unknown and unclimbed. In the farthest place where the sky met the land across the clouds, the great bulk, that is the main part of Kanchenjunga, the third highest mountain in the world, appeared to them. In the western side, they could see the Nepal mountain ranges extended into the distance. Imagine how beautiful they would be. The most important photograph I felt was a shot down the north ridge showing the North Pole and the old road which had been made famous by the struggles of those great climbers of the 1920s and 1930s. The important photograph Hilary took was the scenery of North Ridge in the North Pole. It was the old road made famous by the earlier climbers between 1920 and 1930. Hilary could recognize now how the earlier climbers struggled by choosing that old route. After 10 minutes, I realized that I was becoming rather clumsy-fingered and slow-moving. So I quickly replaced my oxygen set. Clumsy means difficult to move. After 10 minutes, Hilary quickly replaced his oxygen set because he realized that his fingers were clumsy and its moving was very slow. Meanwhile, Tenzing had made a little hole in the snow and in it he placed various small articles of food, a bar of chocolate, a packet of biscuits and a handful of lollies. In the meantime, Tenzing dug a hole on that snow and placed a bar of chocolate, a packet of biscuits and a handful of lollies. Small offerings, indeed, but at least a token gift to the gods that all devout Buddhists believe have their home on this lofty summit. Those food items were all placed on the snow as a token of gift to the gods and Buddhists, whom are believed to be in the lofty mountains. Lofty means very high and impressive. While we were together on the South Col 2 days before, Colonel Hunt had given me a small crucifix which he had asked me to take to the top. I too made a hole in the snow and placed the crucifix beside Tenzing's gifts. 2 days before, while Hilary and Tenzing stayed in the camp on the South Col, Colonel Hunt had given Hilary a small crucifix. Do you know crucifix? Crucifix is a model of cross with a figure of Jesus Christ on it. சிலுவையை ஆங்கிலத்தில் crucifix என்று கூறுவோம். Do you remember this Colonel Hunt? I know you know this. He was the man who led this expedition. He asked Hilary to take this crucifix to the top of the mountain. So, Hilary now dug a hole on the top of the Everest and placed this crucifix next to the gifts of Tenzing. After 15 minutes, I moved down off the summit onto our steps. Wasting no time, we cramponed along our tracks, spurred by the urgency of diminishing oxygen. Thus, Hilary and Tenzing fulfilled their dreams successfully. They enjoyed themselves there on the top of the Everest for 15 minutes. Cramponed means climbing on ice wearing spiked shoes. Spur means to make something happen faster. Diminishing means decreasing. Hilary then started to return to the camp. He didn't want to waste time because their oxygen set started decreasing. This urgency made them move fast. We scrambled cautiously over the rock traverse, moved one at a time over shaky snow sections, and finally cramponed up our steps and back onto the south peak. Scrambled means moved quickly. Synonym for this word is clambered. The word traverse here functions as a noun. It means a route. Shaky means unsteady. Cautiously means carefully. They carefully moved over the route on the rock which had unsteady and snowy surface. Finally, they moved up their steps and returned to the south peak. We were now very tired, but moved down to the 2 reserve cylinders on the ridge. As we were only a short distance from camp and had a few liters of oxygen left in our own bottles, we carried the extra cylinders down and reached our tent on its crazy platform at 2 p.m. Though they were very tired, they got down to the ridge where they had found 2 cylinders earlier. Students, do you remember by whom these cylinders were left? Good. They were Evans and Baudillon. Hilary and Tenzing now took those 2 cylinders because the cylinders which they had now had a few liters of oxygen and their camp was so close to them. Finally, at 2 p.m. they reached their tent back. There they felt that platform was crazy, that is, enthusiastic. With a last look at the camp that had served us so well, we turned downwards with dragging feet and set ourselves to the task of safely descending the ridge to the south col. Dragged means pulled something with difficult. They gave a last look at this camp because it served and helped them so well. Now they were getting ready to go down to the south col by pulling their painful feet. அதாவது மிகவும் உதவியாய் இருந்த இந்த முகாமின் மீது தங்களின் கடைசி பார்வையை செலுத்தி அவர்கள் கீழே இறங்க தயாரானார்கள். The time passed as in a dream. Two figures came towards us and met a couple of 100 feet above the camp. They were George Lowe and Wilfrid Noyes, laden with hot soup and emergency oxygen. Just short of the tent, my oxygen ran out. We had had enough to do the job, but by no means too much. They felt their time had paused as in a dream. Before they are reaching the camp, nearly above 200 feet, George Lowe and Wilfrid Noyes met them with hot soup and emergency oxygen. Hilary's oxygen ran out, that is, exhausted just before reaching the camp. Somehow he managed it and he felt that he had come across many difficulties. In front of those hardships, it was not a matter to worry. We crawled into the tent and with a sigh of delight collapsed into our sleeping bags, while the tents flapped and shook under the perpetual south cold gale. Perpetual means continuous. Delight means joy. Gale means strong wind. Hilary and Tenzing reached their camp by crawling. They fell into their sleeping bags. அவர்கள் உறங்குவதற்கு தயாரானார்கள். They gave a sigh of relief with happiness. Meanwhile, the strong and continuous wind from the south pole flapped, that is, moved as a bird's wings and shook the tents. What a pleasant sleep they had. It was so peaceful to them. They proved many sayings. If you train hard, you will not only be hard, you will be hard to beat. Success isn't always about greatness. It is about consistency. Consistent hard work leads to success. Greatness will come. Striving for success without hard work is like trying to harvest where you haven't planted. எல்லா உழைப்பாளிகளும் வெற்றி அடைவதில்லை, ஆனால் எல்லா வெற்றியாளர்களுமே கடின உழைப்பாளிகள்தான். இந்த கூற்றிற்கு தக்க உதாரணமாக ஹிலாரி அமைந்திருக்கிறார். John Hunt, who led the expedition, states that it was an unforgettable day. They had climbed to the top. There were shouts of joy, handshakes, and hugs for the two heroes. Their happiness and pride showed how these men had shared in the achievement that was brilliantly concluded by Tenzing and Hilary. The adventure was over. The leader of this expedition, John Hunt, stated that 29th of May 1953 was an unforgettable day because Hilary and Tenzing had reached the Everest. The two heroes enjoyed themselves with shouts of joy. They shook hands, they hugged, they concluded their adventure by showing their happiness and pride. They narrated how they shared in the achievement. The adventurous action was over now. The story of the ascent of Everest is one of comradeship and teamwork formed through dangers and difficulties met and overcome together. Perhaps after the climbing of this great mountain, others will find their own Everest, for there are still many opportunities for adventure. Some are close at hand, others are far away in distant lands. This story is the evidence of comradeship, that is, friendship and teamwork, and it revealed how they overcame, that is, one together despite dangers and difficulties. After reading this book, The Ascent of Everest, many readers set their own Everest to achieve. Here, the term Everest refers to many opportunities. Some chances may be very close at their hands, some may be at a distance. Not all adventures are exciting. Nor is adventure to be found only upon a mountain. There are Everests to be climbed in our everyday life. Given the selflessness and resolve which enabled men to climb Everest, there is no height, no depth that the spirit of man, guided by a higher spirit, cannot attain. It doesn't mean that all our achievements should be on top of the mountains, and they need not be so exciting to others. It means our daily tasks. Everests are the daily duties of every human in everyday life. Hilary and Tenzing gave their selflessness and resolve, that is, determination. So they achieved it. If a man's superior spirit guides him, he can too climb the Everest. Both height and depth are no matter to him. Everything will be easy if one has a determination, strong mind and indomitable spirit. எந்த ஒரு மனிதன் தன்னுடைய விடாமுயற்சியினாலும் அதிதீவிர உழைப்பினாலும் தன்னம்பிக்கையினாலும் உறுதியான மனத்தினாலும் ஆளப்படுகின்றானோ அவனே வெற்றியாளன் என்பதனை இந்த பாடம் நமக்கு உணர்த்தியுள்ளது. Dear all, last but not the least, we can watch the climbing route of Mount Everest in the southeast ridge in 3D effect. After watching this, we can end this prose. Are you ready? Here it follows. Now we are at the top of the Mount Everest. With this satisfaction, I end the prose 4. Any queries regarding this lesson can be asked. My platform always opens for you. Thank you for watching. Meet you in the next session of 4th poem Ulysses by Alfred Tennyson. Until then, this is Nageswaran. Bye. Take care.